Oh my God. I'm on my, quote, wrong account. I'm not on my Snarky Seafood because my ad-free premium, which I tried to, whatever, fucking do. They're a monopoly, so, they have a lot of power and they're in it for the money. Even if they, didn't start out that way. Hopefully that's where where we start out. Certainly as children. Although, poof, I was a little, I want, kid. So, I can't really, judge too much on that. But, before I forget, so I was just doing some, self-reflection, healing. I've been feeling a little funky the past few days. Super positive, but just like, oof, And I've been really tending to myself and paying attention to not like, oh, I'm tired, but I have stuff to do. Let me like hop up and, drink some caffeine, which I've got tea and tea and tea. Even when I tried to just get some, what I thought was straight Moroccan mint spearmint tea at Trader Joe's, it turned out that I was just like, yay, Moroccan mint, and I saw spearmint, and but it ended up being it's got some other stuff in it that's caffeinated, although caffeine, it takes a lot to move my body, and also it can be a very little. I was just reposted a video from, I don't know when I recorded it, but I kind of took all of my Snarky See-Through videos and made them private temporarily, because the whole way that I have, just like this video, I wasn't planning on making a video, but I just go with the flow. A lot of that for many, 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 many years did not include taking the best care of myself, because I've been on this journey, which is like, I sound like an idiot saying this. I've been on this journey since I was 12. And so I learned a lot of sort of loopholes that applied to myself to a certain extent. Really, I was just incredibly protected and aware of my protection and my co-conspiracy at that time. It was before I, understood co-creation, but I was in a co-conspiracy with the powers that be, Kuan Yin and Christ Michael. My mom was alive at the time. Mama, she's Granny Snow White to my daughter. But yeah, so I've been on a mission my entire life. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know I was on it. I thought I was on it really consciously starting at age 12. But before I get on whatever, this little tangent, I started this because I'm like, oh, haha. I was on my phone and I discovered the shamanic group. I don't know if here I'm looking at my phone. It's the Society for Shamanic Practice. And, I'm not a member yet. I just I call them, synchronicity stumbles. Although that's not quite true. I'm not stumbling. I'm just jumping in the flow of divine direction and connection. Hey, kind of like that. I'm a conscious channel. I very well may be channeling right now and wasn't planning on it. Because I'm planning on taking the day off to okay, I'm feeling a little run down. I've just been through a lot. I'm not going to even go there. Whew. 2024 was a major, I became intimately, when I was a kid, I used to use runes. That was my first divination tool, along with, to a lesser degree, and then it kind of shifted, and I found this, shamanic society, because I was looking at, a while ago, I, kind of prayed for teachers that are, on earth in bodies. Most of them are here on YouTube, it turns out, because I've been led on my journey directly from the source, and I've not come across, and I didn't even, internet, which I've told the story in, whatever, about Kuan Yin, talking about me reconnecting with, one of my soulmates, someone I dated, who I loved and loved dearly. I love, if I've dated you, if I've, we've had a relationship, girls and boys out there in my past, if I've ever, made out with you, but if you're one of the, handful of very serious relationships, in my life, you are, boop, you're right there in my heart, 100%, and I love you dearly. Same with, friends and people that I bump into on the street. But so the Kuan Yin story, I'm just going to try to just be a little more, less circuitous, less loosey-goosey, less this is a test. It's 6:15. That's my birth date. And it's Valentine's Day, so if you are into Valentine's Day, for whatever reason and to whatever degree, I have a daughter, and she's a little copper top. So is the friend that I was just talking about, friend and ex and soulmate and all of that. But my kiddo is a little copper top. And I asked her to be my Valentina, because she's actually, the honest to God truth as to why I use that is because Valentine's didn't pop up in my, autocorrect, as I typed capital VAL. Maybe I spelled it wrong, who knows? But it wasn't an option that popped up. And part of my whole thing, and one of my first sort of crystallized, see, I'm doing it, I'm not doing what I just said I was going to do. So either, stay for the ride or fuck off in a completely loving way. If I'm not for you, you will probably know it immediately. I've only had a few people in my life ever that I wasn't for them, and it wasn't about me. It was about their own resistance probably to being loved and or challenged by just my love, my light, my authenticity. You know, I am what I am, and that's all that I am, and that is becoming more and more true. I'm no longer bending over backwards to, you know, I will meet you where you are, or anyone. You know, if you're trying to move up or move forward or just not stay hunkered down in your resistance or negativity, or, you know, if everything in your life is someone else's fault, you are definitely not. Well, see, I started cursing when my daughter turned 10, because, you know, that's just part of my thing. I say fuck and shit, and I don't put little asterisks, and, you know, it's like, but I get it. Like, I would always apologize if I was like, oh shit, or something, and I turn around in the grocery line, and there's a parent and a kid who's not a baby, because babies don't give a fuck, but, you know, we try to teach our kids, at least for a while, or we don't, you know, and that's not how I parented, and it's fine if you don't, you know, monitor your words at all. You know, perhaps you are more evolved than me. If it doesn't create a bunch of problems in your life, you could also have no self-control, which generally is the case. You know, people who are out of control, out of alignment, overstressed, underpaid, underfed in a multitude of ways, you know, you're out of whack. Woo, you know, I used to get that way when I didn't eat, and like when I was living in Kauai out in the valley, you know, and it was after an 11-mile hike and a hitchhike or whatever, and getting into town, and there was like all the food is available, particularly cold food, frozen food, ice cream. That was my little thing. I was like, ah, yeah, like all skitsed out. Like, that's how, when I am hyperglycemic or whatever, I don't get hangry. I paid attention to it. Like, I don't like being out of control, but not in a like stick up my ass kind of way. It's about, if I'm by myself, like I am, I just allow myself, and I've gotten a lot better at it, taking better care of myself. But so like the food thing, so for me it was sleep, and only because I've had trouble sleeping my entire life. I don't even know how many nights I secretly stayed up all night throughout elementary school and middle school, and, you know, my parents know now because they're both dead, but, you know, I never even told them about it. You know, my mom would find out if I was out, you know, partying when I was supposed to be in my bed, or, you know, she'd come downstairs and I was reading, because as a kid, books were my company, and I've learned that it has to do with my sensitivity to energy, and you know, before Kuan Yin came in, and, you know, all the people that my mom started channeling, and you know, I just knew I was different, and a lot of my fear was, I was scared of the dark when I was, but then it was never a constant. And I also, like, for some reason, I definitely allowed myself to suffer as a little kid in a way that most kids, like, oh, I had a bad dream. They run and wake up their parents. Like, I would go and maybe, like, bring my blanket and my pillow and sleep at my parents' bed, the foot of their bed on the floor or whatever. I've just got a message earlier about fox medicine and camouflage and whatnot. But we're taking the way back machine. And before I forget, just so I can show you that I am, like, boop, paying attention, I was just watching this video on that shamanic site, trying to watch it. It was something about, tobacco medicine. And I will and have talked a lot. I might not even, like, because it's kind of expensive to keep a backlog of videos and pictures and whatever, screenshots and like, I was really trying to, because I knew it, prove miracles, like, and I've said it to people before the technology caught up, like, oh my God, I wish that, and this was with a friend of mine who decided not to be my friend, not because she didn't love me anymore, I'm pretty sure, because she took mushrooms one night, and I got a phone call from, like, no number, and I think she was working on her. I'm taking it as this, like, I provided what I needed to provide her from our relationship and our friendship and whatnot. But so when I became a mom, becoming a parent was a very, very, very conscious decision. The way it came about was pure blessings, and certainly could be seen as miraculous. I mean, I know exactly how our daughter, came to be when she did, how she did. It was just pure perfection, and I had gotten to a place in my life where, see, I didn't search for that shit. There we go. Yay. All right. Anyway, so all of the recordings and it's all stuff that, like, oh my God, like that, if something had popped up for you and or like you tap on this, I haven't. So for me right now, all right, I don't have my pen out, but let's do this thing. So here's how I roll, and it's all connected, but so I love this lady right here. She's one of my, like, boop. When I just met her today, for the first time on YouTube. This one up here, I've watched a couple of videos, but she's very, like, witchy, sort of. Isn't that her thing? Yeah, Witch and Scythe. Hello. We all have our names. I'm Snarky Sifu because I'm not a witch. I'm not a this or that. If you read my little about thing, it says everyone's a fucking life coach. I've been a life coach for a long time, unprofessionally, because by the time I, was, oh yeah, like, I should figure out how to do this as a job. Um, it was like everyone's a life coach, and like I'm a lot of things, but I don't fit into a box. Like my I'm like, here's me. And all of those singular things are just like boop. They're just little aspects of me. I apologize if this tapping is bothering you, but so I my whole trip was about, authenticity, as well as particularly when it comes to money and, getting paid to do a job. Because I have a lot of skills and I've had a lot of jobs. My last, like, before I got run over job was as a server. No, that's not true. I was a caterer. Oh yeah, I hadn't even had a server job yet. Interesting. Well, that was part of my thing, and like honesty and integrity are just paramount for me. And it's, one of the things that I recognized growing up was that was like, if you called me a liar when I wasn't lying, like if I was lying, okay. But if, when I was a kid and little kids lie, I even told my daughter, I was like, our relationship and the communication and the honesty and openness, it was about openness. I just like my parents were with me, I knew that I could always come to them. My mom's probably crying little snowflake tears in heaven or whatever. I don't call it heaven. It's just, she's no longer in a body. Hopefully it's heavenly. But I felt a lot of pain. And it's not, because this is my understanding of when we die, we're free from all of the limitations and the particularly like the little like petty things. Like if you're listening to this and you're, for whatever reason, synchronicity stumbled your way here, and you have someone in your life who has died, or they're not dead. First of all, like, death doesn't exist. It doesn't. We are infinite. So lesson number one, your loved one is not dead. And if you're here, you already know that to some extent. But it's just a change in form. Your loved one is no longer in the physical, the little somebody, one of my little people, is she down here somewhere? Oh, I just discovered Dochi. Which obviously this is part of, the algorithm and whatnot, but I was hoping here's one of the people, like when I had, asked for a teacher, and I made friends with the algorithm long before I don't know, 3 years or 4 years ago, 5, whatever. First I had to make peace with, the just dumpster fire that was, I should say. And clearly this has to do with my own algorithm. and I play around with like permissions. I'm like, meh, no, I want to be in control of, my flow, and the powers that be do not include Google for this period of time or whatever. Um, but so I don't go too far off on a tangent. This is one of the people, like, once I get my Snarky Seafood channel, like, at least minimally organized and working, I want to, but I'm doing it now, acknowledge the people that, when I did say, like, hey guys, I really would like a teacher, a guide, a mentor, whatever, people that know more than me, because I'd gotten to a point where I just couldn't find anybody that was, giving me anything other than confirmation, a mirror of like, yep, we're here for you, you're doing your thing, you're on the path, you're working at it, you're staying true, blah 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 blah. And even these people, shit, I can't remember his name right now. He's one of my uncle's names. Paul. I think his name is Paul. Because that was like, for me, so these, and that's what I started to say, I can only use my finger, my whatever, to navigate. See, now I can't even do it. I'm trying to scroll up. There we go. And thank God, because, if I am circuitous or whatever, normally, and this is me trying to be a little more like an arrow, focused, the tip of an arrow, but at the same time, I'm the whole arrow. I'm not the tip, and the tip of my arrow isn't one that's made out of metal in a factory. It's like an arrowhead and a bow, or, well, the bow. That's the, maybe that's my higher self, which that was a trip, getting to the concept of like the double slit thing, or the water Japanese guy and the monks and the whatever, that the something that is observed changes, which still, though, that's like, that's one of those things that, like, I just had to let go of, because it's like, okay, well, how do you know that? Because, like, a camera that is, I used to know whatever, like, and it would probably be a little bit quicker and whatever to, use that as a metaphor. But and you should watch, if you haven't, What the Bleep, because if you're like me and you are, first of all, just so curious about everything, although I was just talking about, like, kind of, quote, knowing everything, but knowing that was completely untrue, but in the way of, trying to both be a teacher, a shaman, a Snarky Sifu, whatever, do the work, and have somebody ahead of me, so to speak. The closest I could get was, I know a bit about astrology. I know a bit about this and that, and like I started way back when, it was like runes when I was like 12, probably 12, 13. That was my first like divination tool that, like, even though I didn't fully understand what a divination tool was, or that they're all kind of the same thing in a different form, which I knew to an extent that, and that's part of my mediumship trip was, and getting, poof, like the fucking next level, doctorate, that seems to be like the highest poop, slap a label on somebody's education. I was receiving doctorate level information from Kuan Yin, and Christ Michael was, who I don't know right now, and I haven't bothered to look it up because it wasn't all that important. Archangel Michael, maybe same. No, that's not it. It's okay. So I'm kind of getting that Christ Michael is the, I could be wrong, but I'm just gonna go with, because I've not done this. This is my first. Okay, I'm gonna listen and output at the same time. So I never worked much with, the angels, because it took a number of years for me to disconnect my discernment, knowingness that God, source, whatever, the more, the bigger, the larger, the, collective consciousness-ish that came later. But let's just call it God for the moment. So, and let's keep it simple and talk about, Judeo-Christian God lineage. So, there's God, and first of all, my God, and maybe it's because I knew it before I knew it, because I didn't grow up in a churchy house. We were spiritual, although I was dragged to the Jehovah's Witness church. My parents were hippies, and my mom was a pre-channeling spiritual person who also had a mom that I never met, who was schizophrenic and alcoholic and violent and horrible, clearly horribly damaged human being, because I don't believe in evil, and if anything, I made friends with the devil before I understood or openly expressed my relationship with, quote, God. It was my thing that I wasn't ready to explore yet. I'm like, oh shit, dinner is in 20 minutes. Maybe I'll use that as a boop, whatever point. Dinner ends in 20 minutes, I should say, at the hotel I'm at. And there's a snowstorm, so I can't just hop in my car and go get some food. Or maybe I can, but I don't know. I haven't even opened the curtains today. Because like I said, I was taking care of myself. I didn't even know it was Valentine's Day. But then when I checked my phone and, to get in touch with my daughter to see, does she have a basketball game tonight? Because it's Friday, and I go from Portland to Vancouver to see her games, and just checking in on plans with the weather and her and our plans and whatnot. So yeah, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, so it is ish Valentine's Day. I have a 12-year-old daughter and just turned 12 at the end of December. And I'm not going to share one of her little secrets that she told me, because I'm the only grown-up that she talks to about these things. And so there you go. I was talking about, keeping our communication open. And I'll go back to that. But I sent her, will you be my Valentine thing? Because, like me, she doesn't really give a shit about Valentine's Day. But, her co-parent, my co-parent, her other mom, I'm Mama. Her other mom is Mommy. And we had the conversation about, and it, of course, was me who brought it up. Because, like I said at one point, deciding to become a parent was a very conscious path for me. And it was like, Mama has, Mommy didn't, vibe with me. I didn't really call my mom. She was Mom. And, granted, it's easier when you have Mom and Dad. Mom can be Mom, Mama, Mommy, whatever, Mushu, Coca-Cola, It's easier when there's just one, much like my struggle, not being snarky or whatever, which I only let a tiny bit of my frustration with the gender, what the fuck? What's your gender identity? I can't think of, what I'm saying. Are you a she, her, beep, bop, boop? So for me, I was, gender is, first of all, it's a construct, and it's a made up thing, and masculine, feminine energy, duality, yin yang, beep beep bop bop. It's something that is whatever. It's a lot of things, but for me, it was never about the your sexual identity, your gender identity. Good, as long as it's making you happy. Fuck yeah, I support it. But in having a conversation with someone once who was in a relationship, she was a she. I don't know now what this person identifies as, but she was in a relationship with, basically, transgenderness was a big part of her identity. She was almost, or I think maybe she was a college freshman. So, we tend to take on our political, this is what we care about. And, it's important to us. So for me, I was never trying to, even be snarky, but I was. But then I did. I was I was just being snarky and it was a choice. And that's the thing with snarky. It's why I chose snarky, is because I always liked the word, but it has a lighthearted. There's no cattiness to my snarkiness, even when I'm being full snarky. If I'm if you feel like I am using my, ninja wordplay, sword skills, communication capabilities, if you feel like I am poking you with the tip of a sword, I'm not, I've never pulled my sword out to this day. Maybe a prop sword or whatever, because I definitely have, and for me, it is my voice. It is my written, how I communicate, how I use words. And the closest I can say to somebody who maybe, is 18, and I'm frustrated with the fact that they're talking about a transgender person and group of more than, I think the conversation was like at least talking about two people, and I'm pretty sure a third, and this was before any of us outside of the hardcore transgender community were given any information or guidance, about they, them, or, like for me, that my entire life, I have been, the queer people, like, I'm bisexual, so, and I have my own experience, and that was for me to get to this point of being, even if I didn't understand something, like, I wasn't judging it, or certainly wasn't attacking it in any way. So this girl was, and that was, I got some hate light, haterade, with being a bisexual and getting, either boxed in as like, oh, you're a lesbian, or you're a lesbian in the future, or well, how can you call yourself whatever, although that probably didn't happen, because it's like, I like boys, I like girls, my childhood and my puberty, and it was boy centric, and I was a tomboy, so it, like that whole thing, and the fashion and the whateverness of it is just like, like, don't call me something that I'm not. Like, if I am, I will say it. If that's mostly what I am, I'm not gonna get bothered by it. But if it is completely not true, or like lesbians saying like, oh, you're fucking, a fence sitter, and you're just basically like fucking around in our pool. And that was, before, like, it was like, it's the truth, like, lesbians and or bisexual women, shit, tend to date the same friend group or whatever. That's true for any group, that whether it's proximity, that's all it is. And maybe there's more to it, but whatever. For me, the lesbian joke, that even though I was like, I'm not a lesbian, but maybe I am becoming one, because I've had longer periods of relationships with women at this point, after my last relationship with a guy. And I was really trying it on for size. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just, but I'm like a little scientist. So let me get back to the transgender thing. This person was saying, so they were blah blah blah, and then they blah blah blah, and they were switching the people that they were talking about, and I was confused. And I'm really good at following a conversation. Like 80% of the time I know what you're going to say before you say it, because I either like pulled it out of your head, or like I'm clever enough, or I've watched 10 million movies, and the plot is generally not all, like, I'm not often surprised. But it was just like, oh my god, who the fuck are you talking about? And I was trying to be patient, and this is somebody who, when they were younger, they're defensive about things, and according to other people, and just according to my own experience. But, like, we're all kind of like that, aren't we? If we're, like, passionate and, maybe, like, big power people. But, so that was my thing. And it was just like, I'm very thankful and very willing to, well, you can call me it, hey, her, he, it. I'm a she, her, woman. I got great tits and no ass. And, you know, I like penises in my porn. That's my preference, although I'm not really a porn person. It's just like it doesn't do it for me. I've discovered that I'm turned on by energy and conversation and communication and all of that. And I'm wearing pajamas. I'm going to see if I can go get some dinner. I'm going to pause this and come back, and then I'll see where it goes or whatever. But the haha was like, I kept saying, and I do say, I'm like, what the heckate? Like, instead of what the fuck or what the hell, like, my lighter version of that is like, what the heckate? So, you know, boop, boop, boop. And this one that the oldest story ever, was, okay, you know, there's some goodies here for me. Or maybe, ta-da, maybe I'm the goodie for you. So we'll see. Maybe, you know what I'm going to do? No, fuck it. I'm going to just pause this. I was going to say I'm going to stop it and then start another one, but I want to see what happens here. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm going to see if I can throw on some clothes and shoes and a jacket and get some dinner while it's still available to me. Okay, so that was awesome. I got dinner. Woohoo! I was the last one. And from Isaac. Hang on. Let me just, I'm going to pause again and, you know, take my little jacket off and whatnot. And I'm not ready to eat yet. Actually, I have some Coca-Cola. Hello, Mama. That's a Kuan Yin mom. Granny Snow White. Pamela Snow White. My mom. Pamela Snow White Davis. She's got her own, you know, a bigger online presence than me. And she didn't even experience online herself. She died in 2003. So, but I started to tell a story about somebody and talking to Kuan Yin about, you know, when am I going to get to have my person back in my life? And it has to do with the internet. Before the internet, I mean, I'm sure they were, you know, I don't know the full history of when the government was, you know, building it and, you know, that whole thing. But, so in 1980, let's say 1984, which is probably when it was, but also that's funny because like Big Brother, if you're a reader, and even if you know, aren't, you have your own understanding of Big Brother and what that means and how that could be with the internet and Big Brother's watching, and well, all that came from a book called 1984 by George Orwell, who also wrote Animal Farm. And, oh yeah, I said that. And I'm not trying to be a whatever, like I know something that you don't know. I read and you don't. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Maybe you know, had not had the opportunity and poof, you didn't even know there was a book called 1984 or Animal Farm. But something is like, oh, I've been hearing about that book lately, or who knows. That's how all this shit works, and it's so awesome. So I'm gonna just be me, guys and girls, and I'm gonna call you guys or girls or kids, or I'm gonna say namaste, fuckers. I changed it from motherfucker for my mom, just because, you know, motherfuckers. It's not in alignment with me fully. And I think I had seen that somewhere on a t-shirt or a bumper sticker, or who knows. Don't know, don't care. But I'm like, that's funny, because that's me. That is snarky Sifu. That is why my ex, who, we're building our friendship, and, we're doing our co-parenting, but I don't like calling anybody her, or even, the way backs, like, this one ex or whatever, but that puts her potentially in a negative box. And although there certainly negative experiences that made us no longer be girlfriends, or I was wifey and she was my wubby, and that was a little joke about my my whole thing of there are people that in fashion, especially for girls, I think we have to figure out what works for us and our bodies, and that's probably it. I was a little tomboy, and I was fine with that, and people, whoopsie, I'm walking to go pee pee. And if you're like, what's up with the running water, I was asked to although, you know what, it actually, I was going to turn them off, because I got, when they came in, and for my morning maid service room checkiness, I was like, your faucet is running in there, and I was like, I was told that, I was told to do that, and then I turned it off, and then the winter storm actually hit. So, I hope you don't mind I'm peeing. I just added a third flow to my flow. I do care about not doing this. Boop. Because that is one of the things that, I try to keep it, and that usually works out, especially if I'm actually paying attention. And now I'm paying more attention while refinding the balance of just doing my thing my way, Oh shit, what the fuck? Oh my god, that's hilarious. See, I wish you could see this, but I'm not going to turn that on. I had a bottle cap. That's crazy. It made it all the way. Me hopping, I just fished my bottle cap. I'm rinsing it now because it fell in my pee-pee. And I'm going to go ahead and turn. I was going to check the weather, but it's easy enough, especially to turn the faucet back on. But the bathtub shower thing is, it's not as easy to create a trickle. And I'm somebody that is, conscientious about wasting water, but not letting it drive me crazy like it used to. Anyway. So my bottle cap was, it's for my tobacco. But I had it's like a little thin water bottle. And I'm actually going to the fridge for a water bottle. And I think I want to put a little, first I'm going to chug it, and then I think I want to put a little bit of lime juice in it. But I need to chug some water. See, I'm a little out of breath. Whew, that was part of like the race to get dinner or not. Ooh, yeah, no, I don't want lime water. I just want water. And it's all, these are all the lessons that I've learned over my 53 years and probably, I don't know, millions of years, thousands of years, lifetimes. Don't know, probably don't even want to know. I mean, technically, I've been here forever. So have you. Although we might have only been, depending on your, creation beliefs or understanding or what resonates with you personally. Mine has shifted over the years. Perhaps because the idea of infinity as a little girl and all the way through, I mean, even, last year to a beep extent, I was like, really? Does it have to be, infinite forever? Like, is this really gonna happen forever? And then, but when I was little, I used, like, the first time I really tried to wrap my human mind around, that concept, it freaked me out. And I used to call it, by the time I was a teenager, I had a name for it. I used to call it my existential dread, which I think technically that is, something else, particularly like in philosophy. But that's the beauty and the awesomeness and kind of my whole life experience is that it's also correct. It is. And even if it is correct in that I said it as those are the words I used to describe my experience. But like a lot of things, and I think that is, I only just started exploring other people's labels to try to find my own, like, intuitive counselor. I made that up, but it is a thing. And counselor, maybe, I don't know, but that had to do with my, my woo-woo, my mediumship, that I've always been very clear to say I'm not psychic. And because for a long time I didn't know what it was I was doing, until I remembered Kuan Yin telling me that I was a channel. And I said, hell no, absolutely not, even though she told me it wasn't going to be like my mom. It was just, and that's the thing. And like, I know my one friend, Sai, has a tape of my mom channeling, and I didn't get a chance to listen to it when she came to visit, when, I don't know, it's like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer. Like, woof, time goes. And that's the thing. Another thing with me is I don't, if I say a date, or unless I know it's true, And like, if you want to, and like, I kind of, now that I'm saying, I'm like, okay, like, you can, you can play with me. And like, but if you're here and you want to do it, like, I gotcha. Like, I looked up whatever, and my breadcrumbs that I am leaving online are growing. And I'm not, erasing them or even, paying attention. I've just noticed that the name I've given myself is, when I Google it, it's me that pops up. And then, other things that are also me pop up too. But, it used to, the first whatever was always a name of a band. And I'm not going to say it. Because, alright, yes I am. It's Snarky Puppy. Snarky Puppy? I think that's the name of the band. But like that, but if you're here and you find, if I said, December, if I say December 29th, 2012, go ahead and try to gotcha me with that one. If that's the kind of how you like to interact online. Oof. Right now, I'm feeling you. And, I don't get it. But I get it. I get it. But, if you want to do it to be funny with me, go for it. I welcome it. But if you're trying to just throw your undealt with psychological, spiritual, emotional traumas, please don't dump that here. Yeah, probably whatever. I'm friends with the algorithm. I'm friends with Kuan Yin, who knew about the internet before I did. There just seems to be, and we'll use the lay person's understanding of karma, karma's gonna get you. People that have tried to do me wrong, first of all, people that try to lie or talk behind my back, that's the earliest thing I noticed. I'm I would always find out about it before they would find out that I knew that they did it, and I would have the opportunity to, either I'm going to do a little test and see what you say to my face, kind of a thing. But I used to be more of a hothead. Maybe that's my Aries rising, but I didn't even know was my rising until, a handful of years ago. But makes total sense. My second female woman person with, boobs and a vagina, and different. I hope you both hear this one day and are laughing, and I would love to be sitting in a room with both of you. But so the first unfortunate, God, I just have so much compassion for you. And I had a thought yesterday of I'm going to make up nicknames so that I'm not doing to you what this person, interestingly, another redhead, did to me with the they, them, they. Which fucking they? But I have my sort of final hurdle in just speaking freely, is my original hurdle, but it's about, I don't want to, the whole physician's oath, do no harm, that is my MO, if I have one, that's it, you know. It is and even that's not 100%. It's like, just, you know, make the greatest effort you can where you're at. And this is, you know, speaking as a, you know, the do no harm, like radical honesty. I don't hold anyone up to the standards that I hold for myself, and I had to really like put myself in knots and chains and like the tightest snake skin, fork tonguiness, like, oh la, 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 like speak the truth, to be mindful of other people, with my own actions, you know, how I was going about, you know, trying to do no harm, recognizing harm that I had done on purpose or by accident. And that was something that I was aware of from a very, very, very young age. And I was like, ooh, I don't like how I feel, even if I did it on purpose, you know, because I didn't have control, or that part of me was underdeveloped, that, you know, schadenfreude, which I still like, it's one of my favorite words. And, but to me, just like snarky, it is about like, laughing at, you know, ridiculousness videos. There's still no malice in my heart. So, hold on, I'm pausing and deciding. Part of me kind of forgot what I was, you know, started this, and it was about, you know, my own limitations, and basically like practicing what I preached, but only in my head. I wasn't saying it, you know, and then if I did say it, I just got a beep beep out there. Other people who do like readings and stuff, they're like, oh, see, that was confirmation. I had that when I was recorded a video. I don't think I ever shared it, but with the Kardashians, and I think it was Khloe specifically. She's really like, if she does anything other than just being Khloe, because I'm pretty sure she was kind of, you know, I don't know, getting bugged by her mom to like do something, but sort of like how Kim Kardashian has the law now, as a side hustle, but like as a, you know, that's something in her that she's here to do beyond, you know, being famous and, you know, having people just go crazy. And the, you know, the younger ones, they kind of figure that out first with the alcohol and whatnot. But Khloe, if you hear this one day, but it was, the beep beep was I was recording something, and it was a message that I was receiving from their dad. And I think that's what it was, but almost like 99% on that's what it was. But I don't know what it was about, but, and I'm getting the feeling that it was about, like, Khloe's sort of interest in this, you know, esoteric tarot, psychics, whatever, and they may or may not have a history of, like, you know, going to psychics or, you know, whatever. But I've known for a long time Khloe is super tuned in, in the way that, I am and you are if you're here listening to this. But yeah, like she's a counselor, healer. She's a peacemaker in her family, but yet she gets cancer and gets, called the fat sister. And those are the lessons that we who are here to do this kind of work, and however it, we get the shit end of the stick a lot, and it's how we have to, for me, it was about, I have really big power, and it's about just checking our own egos. And I've rarely encountered anybody that like checks me in an ego way. It's like, it's only happened a couple of times, and it's funny because, and that's something I used to go around saying, like, I have a huge ego, but. And it was more like the truth of it that I was expressing in a way that people would understand is I have really big power, like, whew, and, that was what I was talking about with the, like, energy sensitivity and whatnot, when I was a kid and scared of the dark, and I had to, my life, and it's one of the things that I got, and when I get things, it's like for myself and for whoever, for all of us, and it unfolds in different ways, and my path of gaining more perspective and understanding, and because I like to look at everything, like I said, I'm a little scientist from every possible angle that I can imagine. I no longer have to experience everything that I want to understand. I used to set that up for myself, but yeah, that doesn't serve me. And, I already did most of them, so, I haven't been in prison, per se. Prison, I have not, but I've been in prisons, and I've imprisoned myself, in countless ways. I've been in jail, 1, 2, 3 times. I know the times that, I think it was 3 times. Maybe there's another one that I don't remember, but 3 times I've been in jail, in order, when I was growing up, living in Laguna, and was out past curfew, which I may or may not have known that there was a curfew. I was probably drinking, but didn't get caught with alcohol. No, I think we might have. Yeah, we did. We had just like, it was low-key drinking on the beach, which was not the norm. There's a lot of that, but there's also like, I would have just like ragers, because I had one at my house, and it did not go well for me. But I used to I've always kind of done shit like, oh, that's interesting. The fox card in medicine. It was something in, about camouflage, but like I've always done stuff in plain sight. And for me, part of it was like, knowing that I wasn't really doing anything wrong, even if I was breaking a law or whatever. And then later it became, when my spiritual path was like, okay, you're in training. You have to sort of, I'm making motions with my hands of like pressing the like boundaries of everything, laws and manifestation, making things happen. And as a way of not having a mentor or whatnot in a body, of learning what I could do and how far I could push, but it's just, yeah, my path is not anyone else's path, even though it's really similar. Like anything that I say here, like with me, like with breaking a law, with so let me just quickly, it's so like doesn't even matter, but so I was a teenager. It was when we were still living in Laguna, and the Laguna Beach police, which like back then, took me. I don't remember who I was with. I think I was with Christy, my best friend who died. They took us, yeah, unless if I was with you, because there might have been someone else there as well, but took us to the police station at, I think it was like 10 o'clock or something, 11 o'clock, and didn't call our parents until like at least 2 a.m. or maybe 1, whatever. It was like, come on, you fucking assholes, really? Like, just trying to make our little parental slap on the hand that much worse. And that was one of the times too that my mom, kind of was like shame on you. But I only had a handful of those in my life, and that would have been one that was like, unjust, and that really the reason I remember it, even though I totally forgot about this whole thing until just now. But when I was talking about like somebody saying like, you're lying, and I wasn't, I certainly made up tons of stories and like, oh, I'm spending the night at Christy's house, ha ha ha, no we're not, we're at whatever, but I wasn't lying. Like, we were barely drinking, if at all, and like we were just like, oh yeah, it's later than it should have been because we were just having a good time. And I think it was because Christy moved from South Laguna to North Laguna, or close to downtown Laguna, and it just made our life harder, because it was easier when, like, worst case scenario, I'd have to walk home from Three Arch Bay was the name of the place she lived, and I lived, up 4th, in between 3rd and 4th in Laguna, Brentwood Drive, 31596 Brentwood Drive. I remembered my phone number from, or maybe it was my zip code, but I swear it was a phone number, but it was probably a zip code, from my New Jersey childhood home. I'm 53 years old. And like, that was a long time ago. And I was really impressed with myself. But so yeah, like things that I do. So the arrest, boom, there's that one. And then the next one was the big bust. The, Snow White, marijuana mama, not me, my mom, Snow White caper, look it up. I started telling that story because I was trying to do this in a different way of like, not writing my life story, not doing this, but telling my life story in this way. And I started that, that's hilarious, February 13th, 2024. And I took 3 days of a timeout, kind of like today, not opening my curtains because my body is a little under the weather. But I was taking a time out because it wasn't my mama days. At the time, we kind of didn't have and still don't have a custody arrangement, and because, I like to just let it flow, and the fact that I don't have a job, where I have days that I have to go to work, and my coachie, that's one of her nicknames. I don't know if I finished saying that statement, but I'm like, I want to make up like names for people, kind of like pets, or whatever. Like I nickname everyone and everything and whatnot, and they change and grow, and somebody might have, 7 of them or whatever. The most recent one for my, quote, ex, the person who I share a child with, and, we're separated, not yet divorced, but the most recent one, I like took all of the ones that I've given over the 17 plus years, and like put them all together as one. And because now that we're like, made a decision to like, okay, let's be friends, because to me it was just like that was a given. And even after we split, which was mutual, and definitely in the highest alignment with both of us, certainly under the circumstances that were exterior to us. So yeah, I was like thinking about, one of the 2 soulmates, my first girl relationship that had a sexual element to it, and was my first girlfriend. Like one of her nicknames was Chloe, so I'll call her Chloe, not Kardashian, not with a K, with a C. And I was laughing in my head because the 2, like I said, I started to say, like when I said something about myself being a woman, like I have boobs, and I started to say like, boobs, and they had boobs and a vagina, or vaginas, plural. But both of them had boob issues. One of them with wanting more, or maybe not, but just like, no, maybe not. Like, come to think of it, I can't recall, but it was, somebody that had just very little boobies. That's hers were boobies. And the other person, relationship soulmate, the one that Kuan Yin, I was like, when am I gonna see her again? It was 10 years. I was like, what? Are you fucking kidding? I was so pissed. And I was like, she's wrong for the first time ever. I'm like, Kuan Yin, the ascended master, who has, thousands and thousands and thousands, I don't even know, statues and little figurines and artwork and tattoos. She's tattooed on my arm as one of these statues. Not, like I couldn't draw Kuan Yin as a tattoo. So I did draw her. She was a sloth. She was my first sloth. One of my avatars. But she's always right. And that's kind of the beauty of not being limited to this body, and being able to fully experience that time is only the present. here and everywhere else, because there is no there and here, because that's all like woo. But I was like, no way. And I was probably so irritated and pissed and like whatever, and like she's wrong, although I didn't say it at the time. I don't even know, I probably like started crying or whatever. But you know, it poof, it she's just never been wrong. And that is just a beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful, so fucking thankful that, she came to my mom and made her think she was going crazy. Although I don't think that was Kuan Yin. It was a collective. And we had to burn, oh, crazy. See? The Chloe with the little boobies was more than anyone in my life. Really, yeah, like she experienced Kuan Yin in the way that I did for the most amount of time, and whatnot, aside from myself. So, but she knows what I'm talking about if she remembers. We had to burn a book manuscript that my mom channeled, and but I just went on a little like woo whatever. What was it? Something about her. I don't know. So it'll come back or it won't, or it'll be like, oh, I watched this video. Oh, now she's talking about what she was talking about. But oh yeah, I was talking about her boobs. Really important stuff here. And what I was going to say is that, because if I say something and I'm not like immediately, I'll question myself if I'm like, that doesn't sound right, even if it's been whatever in my head or for years one way and I say it, I will pay attention and it'll register that, nope, either that's not quite right or maybe it is right, but I had to gut check to whatever level I can about the truth of it. Even something as minimal as like, did you want bigger boobs when we were together? I don't know. Hopefully you don't. She's older than me. I don't remember how much older now. 5 years maybe. But it was like, oh, I was 18 and she was 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, that sounds about right. 23. So yeah, I think she was 5 years older than me, which is so minor at this age. But it was like, oh, my mom, because she wasn't ever expecting me to be bisexual, because it had never occurred to me, at least consciously or vocally or on any kind of level, until it happened. And I was just like, whatever, cool. Like, I just went with it. Of course, I had my own issues and whatever, some of which I talked about, because most things, well, that's not true either. I give things either almost no thought, because I work on an energy level, like something either is like, meh, nope, like don't even go there, or, like back in the day in a recording that I recorded a while ago, but I just reposted after listening to it and laughing. I was telling the story about when I was on Kauai and I, smoked opium for the first time. I'd smoked other, like soapium or hash or whatever, but never opium. And being somebody who has taken pain medication for a number of years, and I do so with great intention. And I'm the doctor of my own medication, because I'm a medicine person. Although I can't prescribe, certain medicines to myself. But the point was, but I was telling the story of, like, I just had the tiniest little, like, you know, a, like a little puff of it. And it was during one of the times in my life where I will do like a full detox of my pain meds, just to, like, like, I play with it all the time with cutting back, and which has served me very well, because then there's like shortages, and like right now I've been out of one of my medications because the prescription that I got was for 20 days instead of 30, and now there's a snowstorm. And this one pharmacy that I got away from, which I won't shit talk, CVS Pharmacy, I will shit talk. At least now, modern CVS, post-opioid crisis. In dealing with me, they dealt with me really wrong, and I continue to deal with them really right and righteously. Not righteous, but like, I just was so patient and understanding and whatnot. Oh no, I'm sorry, not CVS. My bad. Sorry, CVS. Target Pharmacy. But maybe it was CVS in Target. So, see, that was one of those things. Like, I'm just telling the truth, but, But this pharmacy that, I was dealing with for years, like, good people, like, but my pharmacy closed down, and being a chronic pain patient, and I'm going off on a little tangent, but this is something that, is important to me for a number of reasons, and a lot of layers about medicine and whatnot. But I've been a, by the book pain patient, and what this all started from was saying that, like, back in the day, I was definitely drawn to, like, junky culture, like art and, Bukowski, and although he was an alcoholic, and also, in an ancient medicine way, like, I have had experience with that, like, don't know the deets exactly. That sounded so stupid coming out of my mouth, and I almost didn't say it, but I'm like, I'm going to just let it fall out, because it's good for me to, allow myself to look stupid. But, even though and I was, partying and whatnot, it was like, I knew, and from my prior, recreational drug use, doing some coke here and there, and whatnot, I have known from a very young age, and probably it had to do, with my mom and her not drinking, because of her mom most of my life growing up, but she did when we were kids. But she was like, probably when, we were at a certain age, she just stopped drinking completely, and then didn't again for most of my life until she did, and it was just like a little wine, and then when the cops came and just blew up our lives, and how I said I hadn't gone to prison. Oh yeah, let me tell you quick. I guess it's connected. When I got arrested when all this happened. My mom ended up going to prison. Not for a long time, but Whew, fuck. Like, I could go to prison and I'd be okay. My mom was ill equipped to go to prison. And I am not putting that out there, but it's just like, I've lived a life and hung out with people and, prison adjacent behavior, homeless people. Like, I've worked in social services. I'm comfortable being in those environments as a visitor. But I also knew, like, I'm so resistant to being controlled, that I'm like, woo, I'm not going to do anything that is going to land me in prison. My mom didn't either, but she ended up there, so it can happen regardless. And, she participated in getting herself there, because she decided to, as a parent, as a, somebody who raised us with a just and a justice and a do not judge, mindset, compassion, whatever. But whew, yeah, it really it killed her ultimately. She said it was gonna be the cigarettes she was smoking, but which they did technically. She got diagnosed with lung cancer on her birthday, which is coming up February 22nd, 2022, and she died a few weeks later in March. So but she said that her whole life. And when I started to become aware of like what you're putting out there, I was like, and I didn't I wasn't like, don't say that, because that's not who I am. I will like, boop, I'll throw little seeds out and, see who is drawn to, gobble them up. But yeah, she's like, these things are gonna kill me. And technically she died of lung cancer, but that whole situation was it was too much for her. A lot was too much for her, and she's the strongest person I've ever known, besides me, and I'm stronger, and I have her to thank for that, and my dad to thank, because I was fucking paying attention, and I can take a lot, and I'm here to take a lot. But my journey was learning how to take what is necessary. And, I don't want to go too far off course here, but I've been through a lot. And, I came here to do this, and I'm doing it. And, not that I haven't been doing it, but, yeah, anyway. So, whew, mama. I was just noting the date, and that's just crazy too, that, I started this in a different way in its last sort of incarnation, playing around with, how this looks. And I got something today that was really interesting, because I have this idea of a healing center, but hello, my way, not whatever. And I'm like, oh, some of these people that I'm meeting and who have skills, and that's what I a while ago, the beginning of this, an hour and a half ago, I was like, I asked for embodied teachers, and I haven't had one yet, reach out to me, that I'll leave like little comments or whatnot. And I did ask one person, but I wasn't sure. It was sort of a test for me, to see, and I took a class from this person, and what I got out of it, like, and whatever, I'm not even gonna worry about it, but take this however you take it. But me knowing, like, oh, I read a book and I already know everything in it. I may not know everything. I made a joke that because I was just recently I went back to school, but it was for a very brief, like, I know exactly why it happened. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I went back to school. I went to, by accident, sort of. I just wanted to take a class at, like a real, not a workshop or whatever, like this class that I was about to talk about, which I guess I will. It was just like a certification, but somewhat, which, not, like accredited. And that's like, I love all of this, like, these made up institutes and shit, I'm like, right on. As long as they are, whatever. I don't care, even if they are just whatever. It's not my business. But I took a class, kind of like I was saying, like, I was a life coach before it was a thing, and now there's these, like, the Institute of Life Coachiness, and I'm like, no, I'm not. First of all, I don't have thousands of dollars to give you to get a piece of paper, and that was part of it for me. It's like, if I'm going to ask people for money, yes, I have the goods, I have the training. I've been 41 years now. 41, is that right? 12? I'm, denoting, saying 12. I got some info that I was aware before I was aware that I was aware. But that's my starting point, that I've been learning and training and for this. So yeah, I didn't have any question that, well, that's not true either, that I had, quote, the goods. It was just like, which goods I had to kind of figure out. But for me, it's a little bit of everything. I work with divination, but that's not what I do. That is one little aspect. So this class that I took was, I was happy to pay the money for it, and whether or not the legitimacy level of its accreditation, that wasn't it. It was just like, I had asked for a teacher, and boom, immediately, like, whoop, it was like either my electronics didn't work, or it was like, nope, you have to watch this video. And it was just, another person like me, doing what we're doing, and from a more, there's more psychology heaviness, which when I was, gonna go to school, that was like, that was my, like, I'm gonna get that kind of a degree, because it's, I'm a counselor, I'm a healer, I'm a, whatever. Like, call me whatever you want to call me. I call myself an intuitive counselor, a conscious channel, and that's kind of it, That's as far as I'm willing to, whatever. A Heyoka healer. There you go. There's another one. Shaman, that I'm a little more, yes, shamanic training, shamanic journey, shamanic healing, but I'm a little less inclined to easy peasy, slap that label on myself. Kind of like the difference between me at a younger age calling myself a writer felt very valid, whereas artist was ironically didn't feel as authentic. But so what I got from this class was never work harder than your clients are working, So that may hit you wherever it hits you. But for me, that's something that has been the hardest of my personal journey. My own, just me. And, it's all connected with what I put out, what I do, how I interact, in my relationships, in my marriage. It was like, am I stopping my partner's evolution, their personal growth, by making it too easy, being too understanding, forgiving, what was happening was I was smalling myself down, not necessarily for my wubby, but because of her sort of karmic baggage, and in service of, our relationship in particular, because we have a child. And for me, that is like, I knew that was the line for me. And when I started modeling behavior of just taking it, unappreciation, whatever, disinterest in my work, just caring more about what other people think than what I thought or felt. That for me was like, okay, that is not okay as a parent who every other step, even years before having a child, an example is like, I knew I was ready to have a kid before I was ready to have a dog. I don't have a dog. I allowed a dog, finally to come in to our home. But that had to do with, my physical ability. And it was like, I don't have a great need for a dog at, all these years. That's why I've done cats, and used to call myself a cat person, but like, I love dogs. But I also got run over by a truck, and didn't know if, like, me hopping up to go get dinner in 9 minutes, which is just, I don't know how many 100 feet, but it's like, I'm the corner hotel room, and then it's 1, 2, 3 doors over, like, boop, catty corner. So, it was just a matter of, like, I've been in bed all day, wasn't really paying attention to, like, taking my pain medicine, particularly because I'm, somewhat on reserve mode, and whatnot. And then that can impact me, like, woo, like, I might feel fine, like, lying here right now doing this, but, like, physical movement is a different story, and it doesn't always equate. So, that was my thing. Whereas, like, I didn't have to take a baby for a walk, at least, at a specific time, or they're gonna shit on the floor. Like, I knew I was capable of, like, all the overnight hours. I'm like, sign me up, I can't sleep anyway. And, being able to be like, okay, like, we need to go to the park. We haven't been in a few days. I take my medicine, I take a shower, whatever, I prepare myself. And, when it was like going to Montessori school, when she was going to Montessori school, it was a matter of like, okay, she has to be there at a certain time. That means that I need to prepare in this way to, get her to school on time. And those things I knew I could do. I like big dogs. I like little dogs, but it's a whole dynamic set of differences. And I'm more drawn to, a bigger, just whatever dog. And they, in my opinion, need more space and more. It's like having a horse. It's the difference between having a dog and a cat. Having a little dog and a big dog, they're two different levels of responsibility. So I don't want to disappoint anyone ever. Myself, I'm now really trying to put myself at the top of that list because it serves everyone else. It really does. And that's what I had to look at in my marriage was, and I did it in this order. It was like my kid, my partner, myself. And that is the wrong order. It should be me, my kid, my partner. And, so that's what I got out of that class. What I get from all these other teachers that then came along, I was like, oh, look at that. Like, the one that I found, was one in the way that, like, I turn everything into a teaching or a whatever, an opportunity to get a little extra, a little bonus out of it. And I had been doing my own cards and whatnot, mostly with the app Astro Matrix, which interestingly, this is like where all this started in cycles, and it's so fucking awesome. But this woman who was my kiddo's soccer coach, first soccer coach, like I really clicked with her. Just really cool chick, younger than me, single mom, but spiritually like more versed than my wife, Wubby, co-parent. I'll come up with a name so I can just, boop, and not have to figure that out. But who I married was someone who still to this day has no idea of how remarkable they are. And all of the ways that she thinks that she's remarkable are so meaningless almost, but not at all. That was totally the wrong word. But like, she's a people pleaser and a whatever, and that's what the fucking cosmic joke was. It's like, I got with like a people pleaser worker, like hard worker, like the person who mirrored me in the most important ways, but in completely differently. Like, I saw her work ethic and I was like, oh, and being someone who, was run over and can't like go get a job and bop, can't go get dinner necessarily, in a certain period of time. My work ethic is a little under had the well yeah, see, that's the thing. It was only uh unseen or appreciated or whatever because of uh external influences. um because when we met, she saw what my work was, what I do, like, woo. It just was like, it's why she kept saying, pick me. And I was like, no, no, no. I'm friends with your dad and you have a boyfriend. And, I don't want a relationship. I was considering, like, maybe I want to spend some time in a, Buddhist monastery after Kauai. But then I kind of realized, like, that was what I was already doing. Like, essentially. But yeah, so it just got clouded, and I don't want to get into that. But when you have somebody who you think has your best interests in mind, whether it be a friend or a family member or your priest or somebody that you really like, it is their job, as a mom, like me to my daughter, like everyone has an opinion on parents and parenting, whether they have kids or not. Like myself, when I would look around and see how some parents did, even my own like shortcomings in recognizing as a kid where my parents' quote failings were either overinflated or they both died knowing that, like, my dad died in my arms, my mom died in my arms from a distance, we'll say. They both died knowing that not only like did they do nothing wrong, but I was like high-fiving them all the way to the other side, and continue to grow in my understanding of just the awesomeness in the every sense of the word, the responsibility, whether it's a choice or it's a higher choice, like, oh, I didn't mean to get pregnant, well, neither did the Virgin Mary. She wasn't planning on it, she wasn't even having sex. And I know that stuff is possible, like on the most like miraculous level. And like, I have a deep understanding of miracles of many levels and manifestations and divine interplay, co-play, co-creation. The fact that even though I'm like highly educated, uh, you know, on paper and in the streets, we'll call it, my spiritual street smarts. Um, I still am in a body, so like I know nothing, even though I know, quote, everything. Um, so yeah, like, whew, I, yeah, my relationship with my parents, and everyone in my life, really, like who's one of my soulmates, like the people that I was talking about, uh, you know, people that I've dated and had just like friendships with over decades, which can include not talking for a decade, and just boop, like there we are, like what have you been doing? You know, I just lost one of them, and I haven't figured out. Oh, I love her dearly. But I've been seeing her in different forms, like in different people that look like her. Um, but yeah, Barb, um, really just a beautiful friend. Um, she just saw me immediately. And, you know, it just got that, Rihanna song, found love in a hopeless place. It was, at, just, yeah. That story is not for today, but, family, 100% family. And just sucked up everything that I had to offer in the most beautiful. I just was thinking about when I said, like, oh, I throw seeds out and, nobody saw where they came from, or, well, she saw where they came from, like gave me a little, like, hey, and like a little, like, back and forth, like, is that seed for me? And I was like, is it? I don't know. So, she didn't see any of my miracles. She didn't even see, my daughter, because she came over and, also didn't see my co-parent, because they were not there. But yeah, just really special. And she wasn't one of those, like, she wasn't spiritual, like ish, but she was a hippie. I don't even know how much older than me she was. More my mom's age, my dad's age. I don't know. She was older, and I met her when I had moved to Portland the first time to. Oh wait, was that? No. Oh yeah, she was here. That the first time I moved here was just I moved here. My dad wasn't here yet. I moved here with my mom, and my brother was living here. But yeah, how old was I? I don't know. I don't know what year, but I was, in my 20s for sure. On the earlier side. See, my years, like, it's so crazy because I had such a big life by the time my first life, up until May 19th, 1995, when I got run over with the other person that I was talking about. And which most people don't know that part of the story just because it's like, I haven't had, I was a mom and I was a wife and whatnot, and, people would know I got run over because they'd be like, oh, what's up? Like, see my scars or see me, like, limping, or no, I had to, like, get to the pharmacy to get my medicine or go see my doctor or whatever. Just like, But my life was really fairly limited to my relationship and my family, which was the first for me. It like, because I was always super social and whatnot, but yeah, anyway, I'm like just kind of talking now and thinking and not really like paying attention, but yeah, I was talking about Barb, who I love her, and I didn't finish that sentence, but haven't fully sussed out communicating with her how I communicate. I'm dialing that in a little bit. Kuan Yin, I know, and Kuan Yin and my mom, like, are very similar energies and whatnot. That's probably why they were able to share a body so easily. Archangel Michael is one that I know his voice, but have just opened that line of communication from my end, more consciously, more like, yes, I would like more, please. And apparently that's how he works. Like, I've experienced him, and I cannot say with certainty, but Kuan Yin doesn't talk in a like boom, bah, like directive, like move, like when I said enough, when two people were horsing around with guns, that was okay. That was Michael speaking through me. I never even like, it just, that's something that happened. And but what I was about to say is, when I was about to get run over, see, I think they're probably everybody was there, like, do this exactly, like time slowed, and there was an earth time, very short amount of time, but anybody who's had like a car accident or a whatever, even an acid trip, like time shifts, and you're like, I've been doing this for 15 hours, and you look at the clock and it's like, it's only been 3 minutes. But for me, it was very much, okay, you're about to get hit by a car. You're with someone else who, in that moment, which is why, like, I think things got real slow and real clear, but I feel like Michael might have just been the, like, stop, like, shut the fuck up, but not, but it was like, just a, like, boop, like, fucking through honey or amber like those mosquitoes, like from the Jurassic Park movie or whatever, that, like, you know, I was put in a protective bubble, time bubble. I've never said these words before, or even thought about this. So, woohoo, here you go. But for me, everything like almost stopped. And because I had another person's body and life that I had, I drew a tattoo of it, but had wrapped up in my body, like in a cocoon. And we were just playing around in the street. We were outside of a bar, we'd been partying and whatnot. And it was after hours, waiting for a friend, da da da. Thought it was just our friend group, dead end street with a parking lot. And there was somebody else who was there, like, well after the bar closed, and wasted, and a chronic drunk driver, I later found out, who was in his truck, and like, we were just like making a dumb decision, playing around in the street, and like she was inside of my t-shirt, like we were just being silly and newly in love, and didn't, because I will take risks and do, like I said, I'll do stuff with like zero thought. But I'm also, and I've been this way my whole life, I'm a lot more, there's a lot more thinking that goes on really, really, really fast, much like this experience, before I will do something. And, much more so as I, like, figured stuff out and whatnot. But so time just like slowed down. I've got a person that like I just got with after, like, waiting for them to become single. But yeah, so it's like, uh-oh, like a car's coming, like, or whatever, like, threw down the fucking boof, the slow-mo, which that's like why Kuan Yin was a sloth. And also, like, you're like, come on, it was a joke about like sometimes like the most obvious things just escape me, and every time it's hilarious to me. But so, like, and that was the whole thing about sharing an avatar with Kuan Yin. But yeah, so it was like I was like, okay, I'm listening, like I know when those things happen, like I'm great in a crisis. I can just like woof, like brass tacks, like, okay, hit me, like, come on, like, bop, 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 bop. And it's a situation where when I'm on my own, I am like already moving in a, like, what I see as the first most important emergency triage, whatever, like bandages, someone's bleeding, like, but this was like, I was having like, oh shit, like I didn't see this coming. And I never did, because I was facing the other direction. But like, what do I do? Like, because it was like I got some Michael Kuan Yin, my two beings that walk with me, behind me, um, everybody was, I was just like, okay, like I am the it's funny, I was talking about the double slit thing, like the observer. I was the observed and the observer, the about to be, quote, victim, um, and the like, I slowed time down so that I could, you know, allow the minimum impact. Um, and it was just different. And at that point, I wasn't aware of my own channeling. For many years, I just kind of went like there was no such thing as conscious channeling, you know? Well, there certainly was and is, but like, people weren't writing books about it or whatever. People were barely like talking about channeling. And so, yeah, it was, whew, I just got kind of clammy. But yeah, it was really like for a long time. And when I was having my whole, whatever, awakening, blah, 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 big part of my dark night of the soul. And like, people will go through this and like, question whether they're even alive anymore. And I got to a point where it's like, I didn't give a fuck. Like, to me, it didn't matter. But back when it did, mine was centered around that moment, that, that quote accident. And like, if I did die, like, did the person I was trying to protect who was with me, did they die as well? And this was, before the 10-year timeline. I don't know if I told that story, but I got the 10-year thing from Kuan Yin. And what happened was, we broke up. We were still friends. And she was dating someone else. And her girlfriend at the time didn't like our friendship. It made her uncomfortable. And like, I've been jealous, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a jealous person by nature. And if I have those feelings, I'm like, I don't like it. I don't want to feel this way. Just like I went through that whole thing of, like being cool with things. And it came from a place of like, no, like, that's dumb not to be friends with your exes. Like, that was where I started it from. Because that's how, like, I remained friends with the people that I was friends with. But so Kuan Yin was like, it'll be 10 years, and it'll be like you're living in a city, and you turn the corner, and there she is. And yeah, it happened. But the point was not that. That was just not to continue to leave that hanging out there after this big, like, dramatic, what, they got run over together. But yeah, in my moments of, real existential crisis, consciously choosing and being aware that I am consciously choosing, not like, oh yeah, at 12, boop, 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 boop. But, and not just like living life and that's part of who I am, getting to the point where, one, because I thought I had been denying it, like I did when Kuan Yin told me that I was a channel. Well, I said, no, no, no. I also said, like, okay, like, that resonates. and with the Swahili thing and the whatever and the, not trance channeling. But then I didn't know, like, okay, then what is it? And trying to kind of figure that out as I was noticing the other things that I could do, or whatever, synchronicities, like, oh wow, I should have gotten arrested, and or whatever, just like, oh, these laws don't apply, and like I'm super lucky, and like the other person, Chloe Boobies, my first girlfriend, knows about the lottery ticket thing, with like dreaming of the lottery numbers, waking up saying, don't let us forget to do this, and then going back to sleep and not winning the lottery. Which that lottery, that happened just to tell this story, and for me on my path to understand and have a really big, like, long before the law of attraction and all of that, just kind of like, really big things are going to happen to you, kid. Like, get ready. Like, could have won the lottery. Well, I didn't need the money. And if I had won, it would have been probably just like, oh my God, I'd be too embarrassed about what I did with my lottery money to even talk about it. Because I used to be in the mindset of flow that I am now. I didn't understand it. I was like, oh yeah, money's cool. I love it. I'm not attached to it. I love buying shit for people, taking people out to dinner, blah, 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 blah. Just like, but then I also would buy shit that I didn't need, or something that, like, impulse buys in the grocery store, that kind of thing. It was just like, I was really just irresponsible with money, and, it was just like, whatever, and I was always fine whether I had it or not. And I just know that whole thing happened exactly how it was supposed to. And I thought for many years, I'm like, oh, I was like, until, like, I just said it, like, hey kid, these are just moments for you to be aware of. They are necessary for what you're here for. And but much like in my moments of crisis, when I was like, was I really in that protective time bubble, or did I die that day, and did we both die, or am I still have this person in my heart or soul, whether I'm alive or dead, like, so strongly, because they're alive and I'm a ghost that's stuck in limbo, or what? Like, I can't even tell you the number. Like, I have examined things from so many perspectives and whatnot, that's why it's also kind of hard for me to just, like, I'm gonna write a book. Like, where do I even begin? Well, just do it. That's what my PTB, they're like, if you build it, they will come. I get little things like that too, that for like a month or a week, or for a while, just like the Hecate thing, like, what the Hecate, that I'll just start saying randomly one day, and then 4 years later I'm recording a YouTube video, and that is what sparked it for me to open my little app and start this thing. But yeah, so I'm feeling the energy shifting, and certainly I left a lot hanging. If it's important, I'll circle back to it in the future, because I'm doing this, and I have, oh shit, where's my pen? I'm like, did I stick it in my dreadlocks? Uh-oh. I have a habit of More so with my S Pen on my phone, because I haven't bought a phone since my first Note that had an S Pen. So many things, oh my goodness. But just like that thing was stuck to my chest, and I didn't finish saying, oh, there it is. I saw this already when I laid down, but I didn't recognize, like, it didn't register. But I had a thing stuck, a lid stuck to my shirt, and it made it through me hopping up, throwing on my pants, my leggings over my shorts, going and getting and buttoning up a boop 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 snaps, actually not buttons, a new shirt that I just got actually from a transgender person who is awesome and I love dearly. And see, it will circle back around if it's important. But I snapped that up. I just fully realized that had snaps. I probably noticed it immediately. But he got it at, I don't know, Goodwill or something, and didn't want it, and boop, like, that's how things work in my life. That's why, I don't worry about having any set amount of money or things or whatever, because I get paid the big bucks. But I'm also looking to, this is my job. It's my work, but it's also my job. So, I added oh shoot, I did that wrong. This is what I was gonna, see, I didn't do it wrong, but whale medicine. That was, and it's, oops, I started to try to draw a line. It is all connected in such a beautiful way. But whale medicine is my, from those cards that got me here. I love whales. I love whales. And they got really up close and personal on my, and that's something that is going to be in my future, is I'm going to do in person, because even though I'm doing this, I'm making this whale look less whaley, even though I, have always done this work freely, as in, no pay, because I didn't fully know that this was my work. But in person, like, that's that's easy for me. It just happens, like I said, I'm drawn to people. People are drawn to me. Do whales have little noses? I should know that, huh? I got up close and personal with whales, but not their nosy. But yeah. So, whew. Oh yeah, let me finish that. So something, and I did it for myself and my daughter, and then actually my new friend and co-parent ended up coming for the whaleboat day. But I want to do, this is my healing center. I'm a lighthouse. I'm the lighthouse. So it's not necessarily a stationary thing. Oh, and that's something that I got today about the healing center, because I had to sort of, I'm both building it more intentionally, and and not working on it at the same time in a on purpose way. So the whole idea behind it is that, I got something really kind of cool and unique to offer. And it's really like a lot of things. And I don't find, I've found a lot of problems. That kind of looks like a frog. The way things work, and I'm a spiritual socialist. But I also have to be a little bit of a dictator, and with this only. And it's why when I have talked about my thing, and this was like in Kauai, I was meeting people and making connections and doing my leap of faith, which I think I told you. If not, it's in another video, about Kuan Yin telling me to go to Hawaii and all of that. And then, I met the co-parent of our daughter. So that was my focus. And it was like, for a lot of that, I was like, okay, I'm still like gonna work on this again. It might change, blah blah blah. And that's the thing, is just I'm still working towards something while being as unattached to how it comes about, even if it comes about. And I had to get to the, like, I'm not gonna do it on purpose. I'm not, like, I had to stop even whatever when people outside myself were like, come on, like, do it, like, and let's do it together, let's do it my way, let's blah, 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 blah. And I was like, slow your roll, buddy. Because it was about the money, or the whatever, whoever, unlike Barbara, who was like, hey, is that seed for me? They were like watching me, waiting to see if I was gonna throw something out that they could then, whoop, like, snatch and grab or whatever. So, yeah, it's been a long time coming. And, but one of the things that I want to do, and I tried to do it ish, like I with no resources, with, no help, last minute kind of, I just like had been trying to go on a whale trip, with my family for a number of years, and it just kept not happening. And I was like, this year it is happening, I'm going, period. And I made the offer for other people. The only person who really wanted to go but then just couldn't, and I was like, I'll pay for it even though I had little money, was my friend Barb. And she ended up having to deal with, her son and or his dogs or his addiction, or I don't remember the specifics, but she really wanted to come. And she's going to be on every one from moving forward. So if you, future people, whenever this is not the future for you, my current future-ish, if I'm offering a spirit medicine, whatever, there's a name for that, not workshop, where you put a trip and a purpose together. If I'm offering that, and you end up coming, Barb's gonna be there too, so you can keep an eye out for her. She popped up on, I was recording a video, or it might have been the one that I just posted, and I try to be, conscientious about what's on my screen, like in that regard. And it was, a call from her, or a text, or a missed call, or something. But yeah, I gave her all my, she was my little guinea pig for when I wasn't ready to charge anyone, for readings and whatever. I was working out. Like, she was always like, oh, like open and ready, and like, oh, that made me feel so good, and like, da 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 da. Because I had gotten a new thing happened, and she had been with this man, for a number of years, and I was sort of in his way when we were living together. And for whatever reason, because I was living with Barb and her son, and, I used to, play, hang out with him, babysit, whatever you'd call it. We were just a little, like, not blood family. And then her boyfriend, I don't know if he moved in with us. I feel like he did. But he just didn't want me there anymore. And, she had to make that choice, and it was fine and whatever. Just like, oh, okay, like, that was really cool and whatnot. And, like, we were all just, like, doing our thing and doing this cohabitating and, sharing responsibilities and whatnot. But yeah, so I had something happen that was really weird. It was either right as we had reconnected online on Facebook, because that's like where I reconnected with, and still do, like, people that are either older or less whatever. It was, I'm thankful for it. It's, what Kuan Yin was talking about. Oh yeah, shit, I don't know if I finished that, did I? Yeah, well, that's what she was talking about. The 10 years, the city, the turning the corner. It was on social media. So, pew, pew. That's why Kuan Yin's never wrong. I can be wrong in my interpretation of her, especially when I'm trying to interpret something. I don't really do that anymore. But when I was figuring out how this thing works, when I wasn't putting in the work, or I was putting in too much of myself, back in my 30s, and just like, oh yeah, whatever, because like I said, there's no guidebook for conscious channeling. But maybe I'm it. Maybe that's part of what I'm working on, because there are a lot of people out there, and I can tell immediately. It's usually, I can tell because I'm drawn to you in the first place. If you're a tarot reader or whatever, I'm like, whoop, I'm either pushed in your direction, or, it's like what I'll call a synchronicity stumble, which is like, I'm guided to go to YouTube for whatever reason, and it's like, I think I'm going there to look something up that I'm curious about or whatever, and it ends up being this. Like, I was going to, I don't even know why had something to do with that shamanic thing. And because I'm trying to find some decks that resonate with me that are, physical. But the Astro Matrix app, like, ooh, it really. I didn't finish that story, but the person who got my card deck, I loaned it to her, which was like, I had real, like, ooh, I don't loan my books. It's just like, I'll give you everything, but there are certain things that I'm like, no, this is like really special and whatever. But I did, I'm like, it's my daughter's soccer coach, like, we hang out, blah blah blah. But then our relationship soured because I tried to give her some advice about she was a single mom and didn't have a lot of money, and whatever, and she found one of those things that, and this pisses me off, and it's why I'm like holding myself back to a fault. What is buzzing? That's so weird. It's like there's this. Oh, maybe it is my cell phone. Oh my god, that's so funny. I'm like, it's like there's a cell phone in here, like in this bed, in this hotel room. But I was like looking at my watch. I'm like, no, my watch isn't buzzing. But it was my phone. That's funny. There is no hidden, but I heard it earlier when I did have both of the tablet that I'm working on and recording, and my phone was next to me, and my watch was, somewhere else, but I heard someone, like a device buzzing, and I think it was just outside my window. But anyway, so yeah, I loaned my cards to her, and it wasn't like pushing to get them back until I was, but she was like, oh, please let it. And she had in trade, although it wasn't a trade, but that's how I was able to just like let it go. Like I can buy those cards again. And then it's the Jamie Sands, the, animal cards that got us here today. So see, I'm still like, I'll give her a little whatever for paying it forward. But she told me about the Astro Matrix app. She's like, oh my god, it's so amazing. It's like, it's like an astrology app, but so much more, and it has grown like so much more, and I used it like multiple times a day. Yeah, so whatever. The point was that I choose to interpret things in a certain way, and whether it be in a way just that it serves me, that I don't have to like be wanting my cards back, and it's starting to not feel good. That when I saw that, it was like, okay, that's why I don't loan certain things to certain people. That's why, because years ago I used to, and then I had to feel that feeling a lot. That's why, like, if I loan someone money or whatever, or somebody says they're gonna pay me for something, like, oh yeah, if you drive me to the blah blah blah, I'll give you, $10 for gas or whatever. I'm like, okay, like, I'll say okay, but I don't attach myself to that actually happening. When it does, it's a bonus and it's awesome and yay. And I make note of it, like that person. I'm like, okay, maybe it took 6 months or whatever, or they fucking forgot about it. And that's my bad for not saying, like, oh, hey, you're going to give me that, blah, blah, blah. But that's just how I like to not have strings, period, you know? But at the same time, I don't let go in my heart, you know? I I give props, you know, for whenever they come to me. And yeah, the Astromatrix app has served me really well. I don't know how much it costs now to, you know, buy it, but it was like when I bought it, like lifetime purchase. I love those, especially if they're, you know, reasonable to me, whatever budget I'm working with. That's my favorite. I like to, you know, I'll certainly do a subscription thing if that's my only way of, but I like to buy something and boop, like our dealings are done here. You know. But it was, yeah, I think it was like $7 or something, you know, whatever, 12 even maybe. And worth, whew, every penny, which is why I talk about it. I use it, you know, on these videos. Maybe I'll start doing that again. But yeah, I like to just, you know, I don't have money because I haven't been asking for it. So I give what I can, whether it's a, you know, really long heartfelt comment or you know pointing out I really fucking love this woman's vibe, or because there's like there's so many tarot readers out there and whatnot, and it was only maybe a year ago or so that I, you know, started like, oh, okay, I'm gonna not use my app and get some outside whatever, and you know, I will find somebody else, like boop, whether it's their voice or what. And that's the first one that I found. I didn't. Her voice was like so kind of not cutesy, but it was like high pitched, and that's funny because my voice can be. It's when I heard it recorded for the first time, it was so much higher than I thought. But this, she had just like this, it sounded like artificial, like she was like so like, hi audience, like la 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 la, and not that I had any, you know, doubt of her authentic. I was just like, no, that's not, you know, like that's not the right. And then it was like, hold on, you know, I was like, got guidance, like, slow your fucking roll there, judgy, you know. And I was like, fine. And then I swear, I think it was even like a third time I tried to like pull away, like I hit play. That was the, like, you know, like just don't move on quite yet. You asked to be guided to this, and we're giving it to you, like that joke about, it's one of my favorites. But anyway, the third whatever, she was the first person that I was like, boop, okay, this is who I'm gonna go to do, you know, get a little reading on my Gemini, Aries, Pisces, and her name's Ria. I can't think of her thing right now. I can't even look it up for you because, and what is up? Like, I keep finding Canadians, like, yay, Canada, but like, yeah, like, I know at least two of the people, Cheryl, who I couldn't find, was Canadian, and that was, it was like funny. I'm like, oh, she's Canadian, you know, she is that, like, la 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 la, and yeah, so print, no, what is her thing? which I didn't know her name was Rhea. She's got dark hair, like black hair, I think. Really pretty. I'll find it, and it's probably like connected to me somehow. I can actually, I'll get rid of my little whale here because this is just me doodling. I already mentioned whale medicine, but hello, come on. See, it's like, no, you can't. Oh, I have to hit that first. There we go. All right, let me just see here. She's in my plate. But here we go. So it's her. Which I don't even know if I watched that. She was the first one. Sacred Knowledge Tarot. So don't be put off by her loving, like sweet nature. That was a joke. And then I found the Dove and it's probably all here. Here we go. Boom! I'm doing it. I'm paying it forward. Dove and Serpent, which usually like women for some reason, and I don't know if that's just like whatever. It's just it resonates with me. I haven't found a lot of men. I haven't found many. I just like, I stick to what I like, and, but he's a really good dude. I haven't watched that one yet. But there's one out there that, he's like, the autistic mystic, maybe? But I was like, oh, right on. Like, the name, I'm like, I have to see what that is. This guy is really kind of like that other one who's on the page out there. Very knowledgeable, and, but it's sort of the, like, witchy magicness. For me, is... I don't even know how to say it, but like, it's not my, like, I was not that person spiritually, like, and it just kind of like me, like, I don't know if it was like just childhood, whatever, and like, the typical like, oh, witches and whatever, but it wasn't that exactly. It was just like, I'm not ready for that. For me, my version of that was the shamanic, the Native American path, and they're very much, the same. Everything's the same, but different when you get down to the core. If it is, but that's, we all have our own, what we're drawn to, and what resonates with us. But for me, if it doesn't, if something is out of alignment with the basics, like the core of Christianity is about love, there's the esoteric side that's a little more like, whoa, like, me trying to learn about Kabbalah. I was like, this is breaking my brain, not because I'm not smart enough. It's just like, nah. It's like, either I don't need it, or it's gonna be just more of the same, or it's too fucking popular, or whatever. It's just not for me at whatever time. Just like I'm gonna be not for whoever I'm not for. Either you won't find this, or you're like, what the hell is she talking about? Like, she will never finish a sentence or a story or whatever. And which that may or may not be something that I shift and change. Again, like, I don't know. You know, I know I'm capable of it, and I know how I would do it. I would pick a topic. I'd probably write down some notes. I would, you know, and then, but that's not who I am. And I have to be me. Otherwise, you'll know I'm full of shit. You know, if you're still here, it's fucking, oh my God, like 3 hours later, almost. Hello. Like, that says something. And this is something that I'm got to do now, because like I said, like the payment thing, but even like, oh, like and subscribe and blah blah blah. But you know, that matters. I know that. I've known that the whole time, and it's just something I don't do. Like with hashtags, I'd rather be funny and random and whatever. But then I dialed that back because I'm just like, boop, I have to use like snarky Sifu. Because if you're trying to build an audience, which that was my whole thing, is I wasn't trying to build an audience. I wasn't ready to have one for a number of reasons. And now, but I've been building an audience energetically, but I've been doing it. I really like working directly, sitting in the same room with people. But I enjoy doing this too. So, and this is, woo, it's a hell of a lot easier, but for me it's been challenging to sort of follow my own path while doing this as well in my own way. And that is me figuring out, like, are you just being stubborn at this point? Are you, because Kuan Yin told me when I was young that I was afraid of success. And I had to, like, figure out exactly what that meant. And those are the things, like, these big life, like, boops, you know, like, oh, my past life as a slave. Am I, like, still you know what I mean, like, is that why? And it's like, no. And if I know the no is not me lying to myself or, you know, whatever, then it's a yes or a maybe. You know, it's a I'm comfortable with maybes, and at the same time, clarity is, whew, it's really a fucking nice little thing to have, right? So, you know, all that's really important to me. And that's what I started to say. It's like, I know that I have, here, you want to do it together? Oops, no, wrong one. That's my student one. Burp. I was just going to school, so I had to, which is why, there we go. I just discovered Dochi. Yeah, so funny, because, like, that's not my type of, well, hers is ish, but, like, I always used to say, like, ugh, I don't like slow jams. And like I said 3 hours ago, you know, like, I watch porn occasionally, very rarely. Like, it's so rare that it's like, and I used to just not accept, like, I'd walk into a party and somebody had porn on. I'm like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's just so silly and whatever. But so the very sexually graphic music is not, like, with hip hop and rap, I like really, like, meaningful, political, you know, yeah, it's gangster rap, but, like, old school, because it was authentic, and you know, the life was real, and then the music was about the life. Now it's like, oh, you know, I don't know where you grew up, and even now it's like, why are you, like, all about, you know, the guns and the hoes and the fucking ice fucking in your bed, all the material stuff. Like, I fully get it, and I like it a little bit. But like, when I heard Megan Thee Stallion, well, I saw her first, I think, like, really, like, I'd heard, like, whatever, heard a little bit here or there, but I don't listen to the radio much, except when I do. But I was like, oh yeah, like, I loved it. The women were doing this, like, fuck yeah, like, own your body, own your sexuality, like, fuck, everything in me was like, fuck yeah, girl. But it was like, I had to, like, almost force myself to, like, listen just sometimes more. But like, I heard, and then I saw her on Saturday Night Live, and oh, her song Anxiety, just like that's why, like, I forced myself to listen to some of, her music, that it was like, ooh. But I prefer, even now, it's like, just like the freestyle and like certain songs. But like her, I fucking love it. And so yeah, whatever, I don't know why I'm talking about that, but maybe because there's a bunch of that on my screen. But yeah, just like, wow, she resonates with me on many levels. Same thing happened, with Lady Gaga. I recognized her message, her, like, just her soul, her, as I saw her as an artist. But I'm picky about my pop music. I'm picky about all my music, but I like all kinds of music. It's kind of kooky, crazy, but yeah, I like what I like, and I don't like what I don't like, but then I can later like it, So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Oh, yeah, something about this. View channel. Oh, maybe it was this, my little thing here. Oh, yeah, so December 27th. Wow, I swear, I think that jumped up. It was under 100 views yesterday. Pretty sure it was like 90 something. But that's kind of what I've been saying, is that I've been taking this like slow, and then I'm changing that, because my normal speed is woof, like, super fast. But that's part of it too, is like slowing down my communication, so that people can follow it. Like, I had to, like, okay, I got messages about, like, go back to the beginning, pick one beginning, with where other people are at. And you can't just, like, pop on YouTube. Yes, you can. And that's what I did do. I popped on and I put, like, whatever, like, professor level stuff, but I still talk just like this, and but really just like, woo, and didn't edit at all or pay much attention. I just, it was it was an exercise for me, that it was like, I got from the PTV about, like, just do it, like, because when I was like, why am I afraid of success? And I'm like, because I've seen stuff happen really fast. Like, when I engage on social media, I do a lot of stuff privately, like with people in the spotlight. I'll, like, reach out in a private message, and we'll get a response, And so it's like I know I know what I'm capable of, and it's funny like watching these other people do these readings like, oh my god, you're so powerful, and like, do you even know, like, this has never happened before in a reading, and I'm like, hey, like back here, and like I'm not even gonna like put anything, a comment or whatever. I'm just grateful to like, get this sort of validation and feedback. Like I get it when I interact with people in person. But yeah, so I I haven't I've stopped being afraid of success, but I'm also moving at my own pace, because if I just move like woo, shit can happen really really fast, and I'm readying myself for that to happen, as much as I'm comfortable with or even uncomfortable with, but I'm not gonna use all my skills to like get people here. I'm gonna use as little of them as possible in the way of marketing or whatever. But and I just put my payment thing, and that's what I was gonna say. It's like how I didn't like saying like, oh, like and subscribe and whatever. And I think I have 5 subscribers, and one of them might be me, or I mean, one of them is definitely me. One is my daughter. So I'm just yeah. I'm taking things at my pace because my own life currently is in a state of flux, and I'm just like I'm being more methodical than ever as far as like keeping things very simple, and yeah, whatever, but I'm putting it out there. I'm open to it, and if you have a fat bank account, like, woo, send me whatever you want, and give me your email or your phone number or whatever, and I will I'm here to do the work. But I also, I really, the sort of barter system and I'm not, I haven't figured out, how to charge people and for what and whatnot. But the model is that the people who have it, it will not, whoop, it's like, oh, I've had times in my life where like whipping $100 and giving it to somebody is nothing. And, other times when it's like, I'm still giving $2 out of my last 5 to somebody who's having a harder time than me. So I want, the haves to, I don't want anybody to be like, oh, this hurts me to give to you. Like, I don't want your money. Like, if it's a little uncomfortable just because you're like, but it's like gambling, like if you can afford to go to the casino and here's your little, it's how I like to go, is like, I've got $50 to play with, and I'm gonna make it as whatever fun and as lasty as possible. I'm not gonna go and, but again, I'm not a gambling addict, so I'm not gonna go and like be so sure of my connection with the PTB and da 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 da, and like put my whole $50 on, a $50 slot machine. You know, I play like for a quarter or a nickel or whatever. So yeah, like I just want, that's my whole philosophy is like of the flow. And you know, if sending me $5 or whatever is like, oh sure, oh you asked, and like of course, like, oh I just watched a 3 hour movie. You know, like I'll pay $5 for a movie that lasts 3 hours, even though it's like has no plot and blah 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 blah, like those. That's, you know, from my side. But you know, and I do, and I have whatever, like that will figure itself out, either just naturally, or I'll know how to tweak things. But you know, for me this is just like I'm ready, I'm at the next level. I have a really like fresh start in my life, in a lot of ways. And yeah, so that's all I have to say. Oh yeah, like and subscribe. If you're still here at 3 hours and 10 minutes and 20 seconds and you haven't, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, I'd never asked, and you were just like so engrossed in my weirdness and awesomeness that you didn't think about it. Because that's how I've realized, like, usually, like, I'll like something first thing, like, and then occasionally I might unlike it if I'm like, oh, whoa, I thought this was, but that has only happened, I think maybe once. But yeah, I've never unliked because I just don't get that far, and I'm not gonna waste my time unliking. But like, do people do that? That would just be interesting to know. You can unlike me one time and then comment about it, and then I'll say, okay, please remove your unlike. Maybe. I don't know. I shouldn't ask for negativity, even as a joke. But yeah, do what you want. If you're here, I'm fucking stoked. Like, I do love you. Like, whoop, I don't know who you are, but that's who I am. Alright, I'm fucking done with this shit, and I'm gonna just slap it on the YouTube. Alright. Take it easy. Much love. Happy VD. And not venereal disease. But, you know, 365. Or, that's what I didn't know. And I'm like, was like, oh, it must be. There's 365 days in a year. But what about leap year? 364. But, you know, I try to operate out of love all the time. And it's served me well, so. But self-love, paramount. Alright, take it easy. Snarky Sifu out.